Sentire Media.
Welcome to the Stop Italian Sounding podcast, uncovering authentic Italian food. I'm your host, Robert Campana, and join me as we delve into the rich heritage of genuine Italian food, exploring its legends, history, and traditions. Through important tips and insightful interviews with industry professionals, you'll gain a deeper understanding of authentic Italian food. Welcome back, everyone, to the Stop Italian Sounding show, uncovering authentic Italian food. So, today we have a special guest with us by the name of Michele Casadei Massari, an esteemed chef and entrepreneur who currently holds the roles of CEO, founder, and executive chef at Lucciola, a restaurant located in the heart of New York City. Born in 1975 in Reggiano, Italy, and nurtured in the rich cultural landscape of Bologna, Michele's passion for Italy's multifaceted heritage, from its enticing cuisine to its vibrant art and literature, is palpable. Relocating to New York City in 2009, Michele, together with his trusted business partner Alberto Ghezzi, established Lucciola, which means firefly in English. They created an 18-seat restaurant where Michele showcases his culinary expertise and unwavering dedication to high standards through an ambitious chef selection tasting menu, skillfully paired with wines chosen from an award-winning list, which recently received the Due Bicchieri distinction from Wine Spectator. This commitment to excellence was recognized when Lucciola was honored with the title of Best Restaurant in New York by New York Restaurant Association, a testament to its outstanding quality and the exceptional dining experience that it offers. Michele, an alumnus of the prestigious Università di Bologna, has seamlessly integrated his diverse skill set and academic background in medicine into his culinary pursuits, positioning him as one of the world's most respected executive chefs and culinary consultants. His collaborations extend to the renowned brands like Consorzio del Parmigiano Reggiano and Pastificio Felicetti, serving as chef and brand ambassador for the U.S. market. Aside from his hands-on roles in the kitchen, Michele serves as the executive chef of the Biogra Film Food Academy based in Bologna. He also contributes his expertise as an advisor and partner at I Wonder Pictures, a film production and distribution company known for award-winning movies such as the Oscar winner Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, and The Whale. His culinary philosophy is unmistakably Italian, favoring a minimalist approach that underscores the quality of ingredients over complicated cooking techniques. Beyond the kitchen, Michele is a regular contributor to Rai Italia, Il Sole 24 Ore, basically the Financial Times of Italy, and often lends his voice to national Italian radio broadcasts such as Radio 2. Beyond his culinary exploits, Michele taps into his artistic side as a conceptual photographer and t-shirt designer. Michele, what an honor truly it is to have you today, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule and coming on the show today.
Well, Robert, thank you. And thank you for all the Stop Italian Sounding community and your effort. You know how much I esteem and love spending time with you on and off the camera and the microphone. And I really found very profound and very kind of you to ask me to join this beautiful new concept and idea. So I'm honored and I'm excited. To be honest, I cannot wait to start chatting and sharing our thoughts.
Awesome. Great. Thank you very much. And I appreciate everything that you've done in the past as well. And I am looking forward to this conversation. So, Michele, your journey from Bologna, Italy to New York City, in my opinion, is quite impressive. So could you just take us through your journey and share some moments that influenced your culinary path?
Sure. It's actually a beautiful question because sometime, and I'm sure it happens to you and all of us, you are sitting down somewhere or you're walking and you have to focus on your next steps, but also sometimes you have to focus on what makes you feel great, what makes you feel better, and where are you? Because you have to locate yourself. And this happened, sometime having an espresso or walking or maybe even reading a book. So the start of that journey, it starts probably as many adventurous journey I had no plan for. And what I knew was that at that time I was in Asia, as you know, and I decided to move to Asia, moved by the idea of um, what they call the kind to go to zero to all my comfort zone and do downgrading. But then I wanted to come home, which I call Bologna still in Emilia Romagna. And in that path, in the moment I was organizing my luggages, I thought the journey needed a stop, not a direct flight in a way. And I decided I wanted to be in US. And that happened listening to a song. So all the motivation we could talk about this for hours are many and are always intellectual. But the journey started with the idea and necessity to understand where I was with my, I don't want to call it career because career is what happened, right? So where I was with my skills and beliefs in a city that I felt was the world, and where I would have been exposed to many talented colleagues and many talented passions, idea, and anyway, also some type of struggles. So the journey wanted to come here and do something, changing a few elements, but none one. The elements I wanted to change was the environment, knowing that I would have been exposed to millions of cultures and to energies that might be very inspiring, also sometimes too much. But I wanted to be in an element that was not mine, and everything I wanted to start on the street, making what I love the most, which is cooking, and actually at the time also making espresso. So the journey for who's listening to us, it's based from the idea of finding myself doing something different. I don't want to use the word going in the uncomfortable and moving from the comfort zone. I would use the word I wanted to try a different speed in an environment that I wouldn't call welcoming.
Well, and that's very the first word that comes to mind is very noble of you to do that, to partake on a journey like this that really leads you to personal and professional growth. So compliments to that, really. You mentioned that it started with a song. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes, it started with a song from Lucio Dalla, which I used to know. It's one of the most known author and singer we had in Italy. Unfortunately, he died. And when I was listening the song, there's a moment he said, compiere un'impresa eccezionale, which means I would like to achieve through an act, or not necessarily an act of courage, but to enact without control something of unique and memorable. Uh, which is what you're doing, Robert. Because if you think about it, if I ask you the question, what fuel what you're doing? From what I read, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's passion, need of clarity, making a point, and creating, in your case, like in mine, l'ultimo avamposto italiano. I mean, a place where things have a name and they sound right.
Exactly, and everything stems from passion. When you're doing something because of passion, you know you're doing the right thing, and you really can't go wrong with that. And that's really the ultimate driver. That's the fuel that keeps us going. You're 100% correct when you say that. So, Michele, your approach to cuisine. I've been to your restaurant a few times. It's a fantastic location, fantastic food, fantastic environment. So your approach to cuisine emphasizes simplicity and, of course, quality of ingredients, which is very important. So, how did growing up in Italy's cultural landscape shape this philosophy, your philosophy that you live by, and how does it translate into your dishes that you create at Lucciola?
I want to tell you something, Robin, that is not really the answer to this, but is a propedeutic to the answer. Uh, a few weeks ago, I'm very lucky because a lot of people that I love, including you, ask me what I think. And, it's a, how can I say, a great opportunity. And someone asked me many, many times who are or who is my mentor. And I never have an answer to that, honestly, never. So I'm leaving this in the air, just this sentence, and I go back to what you asked me. You said simplicity, translating. I think the sentence I'm dropping in the air and the answer I'm about to give you has a common element, which is everything starts from the love of literature. Everything starts, as you were joking with me before, it's necessary to read, basta leggere. So I think the need and the translation start because I love to read and because I think, and sorry if I interrupt you,
No, it's
that
fine.
grazie, that my physicality, my approach to the environment, my approach in space works very well with images, the need of communicating, being tangible in emotion, and creating memories. So if I were a writer, I would probably write in novels or movies, and being someone that can communicate through emotions, and I love to eat. I think that was my paradigm. So, not to make it overcomplicated, I think the answer to everything you ask in this question is that I had a need of expression to be the synthesis of simplicity to make sure, and again, I'm using your stop the Italian sounding, to make sure that things sounds right. Um, I remember recently, I'm a big fan of yours, so I watch and I share your content. And what I like when you do contents is always the fact that you start from the idea that not necessarily we all have to know everything, right? But there's an act of courage and morality and responsibility that bring us to having the ways and the pattern to learn things that they are in the right way. Then you can choose. So mocking or what can I say, doing the underlining the importance of what you do and going back to the question, I wanted to make sure that I could serve the best prosciutto and make sure that who was eating the best prosciutto knew it that it was the best one. So you need to simplify as you do exactly in the same way.
Absolutely, and that was a fantastic answer. Creating memories. So what stuck out to me was creating memories, communicating through emotions, and the need of expression, and then your dishes are born with that type of passion that you bring to your restaurant, and then you end up earning prestigious awards and prestigious titles such as the best restaurant in New York City, which is an amazing honor. It's truly complimenti is what the first thing that comes to mind, complimenti, really, for that, because that's an amazing thing. So you earned the title as best restaurant in New York City by the New York State Restaurant Association's Rise. And for people who are listening who do not know what that means, it stands for Recognizing Industry Success and Excellence. So first of all, again, congratulations to you and your team at Lucciola
Thank you.
for having earned this award for such an intimate setting and exceptional tasting menu. So, would you be able to explain more or less your menu and what inspired you to create such a unique dining experience in the heart of New York City?
Yes. And going back to the award you mentioned, you know why that award is exceptional to us?
Um, well, the fact that it's considered the best restaurant in New York City, to me is a huge accomplishment. But it's recognizing industry success and excellence. So, I mean, I'm assuming that's what it would be, but I'll let you respond.
Well, it is. And the greatest truth ever, when I got the acceptance call and the email, I thought it was not real because we don't belong to the association. We were not part to the association. So when I received this email, I honestly didn't reply the first, and then I got the call. And when I called, I was very candid, as I am in this moment. I said, "Thank you, but how is this happening?" And I don't know if I can upset. We're not part of the association. And you know what they replied to me?
What was that?
Well, we don't award who's a part of the association. We award what is the best. So, this is incredible to me. And this is what speaks about United States, what it speaks about New York City, and gives voice to this accent and immigrant and all the propulse and move our intention. I got a prestigious award from an association that I love, that I've never been part of, and is giving me the most prestigious award in a list of selection to me and my team with the kindest act ever, not even considering for a minute my status of being part of association. Well, to me, says it all.
Oh yeah, and the way you summed it up really does. I mean, that's also the definition of meritocracy. I mean, just well earned,
Meritocracy, grazie, corretto.
well earned. So could you
The
explain?
menu.
I'm sorry.
The menu, you're right, I'm sorry.
Yes, exactly. Could you explain more or less the menu and really what inspired you to create such this dining experience?
Thank you. So when you were here last time, I remember you said, Michele, what should I eat? And I gave immediately tagliatelle bolognese and our pasta. So if you spend time here with me for the last 5 or more years, everybody coming through that door is asking to anybody who's here, and the front of the house, Lucciola, so is the back of the house. It's exceptional. Michele is part of the experience. Is not the reason of the restaurant, but anybody who comes here will ask to Alexandra, to Anel, to Philippe, to Carlos, to Alberto, what I should eat. And that part we can take it in many ways, right? You can feel like, oh, always ask a lost, always ask who's cooking what to eat. But also, it means that we are winning a trust, and someone is asking us, do a selection for me. So we decided to give this voice to the menu. And the way at Lucciola we cook and they build the menu, it's called no menu or Emilia Romagna tasting, comma. You can either come here and sit down and do what we did to explain our journey from Emilia Romagna, that represent my accent, my strength, how can I say, tight and love and passion for ingredients of my land and my region. But also, it's the classic 5, 6 dishes that define Emilia Romagna: tortellini, tortelloni, tagliatelle. But then the other part of the menu, it's called no menu. There's not a menu. There's a number of courses that we in the kitchen, we don't know what it is. We do a meeting every day about this time of the day, and we see what we received through the 24 hours of the restaurant. And based on what we have, we prepare, because we don't have a walk-in, we don't have a freezer at Lucciola. And you said it right, we have about 18 chairs. So the only refrigeration we have, it's to keep things as you would do in your house. What is
Wow.
necessary to cover a couple of days, right?
Wow.
It's the same. So in the back of the house, we don't know what we are serving, because the front of the house, and when you will read the updated menu, you will see the menu is being created by Chef Michele Casadei Massari, Executive Sous Chef Dario Sanchez from Colombia, exceptional human being, talented chef, and the front of the house. So the front of the house knows what ingredients we receive, send the recipe in the kitchen, which means clients has this type of allergies. Clients love when it was in Naples. Clients love fish. Clients love meat. Clients has 90 minutes. So it starts from all this tailor experience, and then we produce the menu at the moment.
Wow. So everything is specifically curated to to the client, to the
Correct.
consumer that walks in. Wow. So it truly is a unique dining experience, not like we're used to when we go to typical restaurants. So it definitely is something that's quite different and quite the experience, because a lot of people, they when especially when it comes to Italian food, at least in my experience and probably yours as well, they like an experience. They like to not only eat delicious food, try different things, but they want to feel like they're experiencing something. Am I right
Absolutely.
with that?
Yes, you're more than right. And I think both of us, we can say that is the time to change this word experience, which we read and hear in every pitch, because it gives us a limit. I think they want uniqueness, they want comfort, they want to feel belonging to an
Yes.
heritage widely available to the United States and to the culinary world. But I think what they want the most, it's value for money.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you really hit the nail on the head when you said that they want to feel like a sense of belonging as well,
Correct.
as a small community. So aside from the dishes that you create, you also have a quite impressive wine selection. I mean,
Yes.
last time I was there was I found it interesting, just walking around and looking at all the wine that you have. It's pretty cool, the way it's all displayed. So
It's
you have
more now, Robert. It's even more. Come
uh,
check.
that means I have to come and drink it.
Yes.
Could you explain this award, this Due Bicchieri recognition that you earned from Wine Spectator? Again, compliments to that as well.
Grazie. And we are waiting for this year to see what happened. We have big, big dreams. So let's see if next time we talk to each other, those 2 BK will be 2 or 3, or
Yes.
we'll let them know everybody. But uh, so that's important. One day I was here with a few clients many, many years ago, and he said, I love this restaurant, but you guys have a wine list that is really small. It's curated, but it's small. At that time, we had probably 20 type of different wines. Now we have 1,350 plus large formats, all
Wow.
available. To me, that was a little bit painful, honestly, but I took it. I took it and I smiled and I and I said, why my wine list is so limited? And this is also related to the award, right? So I started study because, as we said, and if someone is skipping or moving fast our podcast, we can repeat it. As Robert says, it's necessary to read. Basta leggere. So I went back to study, and I understood that my wine list was not complete enough because I didn't have enough knowledge. And the limit was because I'm Italian.
Interesting. The limit was because you're Italian. What does that mean?
Absolutely. Because probably every time you go to Italy and all your family and parents, as mine, they divide in three categories, I would say. The one who are drinking the wine del contadino, the house wine, or the wine proximity, or some type of wine they do. But what wine is that? Me and you, we don't know. It's a great wine. But what grape is that? What region? What is it? We don't know, right?
Right, right,
And then there's another part who drinks mostly regionally, from Campania, from Abruzzo, depends where you are growing up. And we love this because it's the reason of our whole conversation, right? And you know how close is to your heart Abruzzo, Campania, Emilia Romagna. So there's one part of the population that drinks wine of their region because they grew up. And then there's a third part, people that study what wine is, what are the grapes, and according to the knowledge they have, they choose what to pair or what not to pair to their food. Normal. But but when you grow up in Italy, and I think nowadays it's changing a lot, you're very lucky because wherever you watch around, we have great ingredients, great wines, but not necessarily we go in the depth because we everything close to us is there. It's like raising in United States, best place in the world. We're having vacation. We can go from Montana to Vermont to Baja California to the Four Corners to all these national parks to you know Death Valley. What we need more
right.
curiosity. That's
Absolutely.
what we
And that drives a lot. That drives innovation as well.
correct.
Even in the food industry, it does.
Correct. So the decision of having this vastity of the wine was because I started reading and studying. And as you know, better than anybody else, that brings you to the effort today of be here and creating this content for us. Because what you're doing here, Robert, is for us because we're gonna enjoy your work. And it brings you that it's never enough. The more you learn, you feel like, oh my God, I was missing that grape. What? That grape grows in Sardinia, in Sicily, and really in France. I need to have it. What is the change? What is, and you know, that's the reason why you're doing the podcast. It's another way of communicating. It becomes
Yes,
addictive. That's the
exactly.
reason of the award, I think.
Exactly. Oh yeah, and that's definitely what I would say. I would agree with you. The driver for this recognition. So you mentioned that you had, what was it, 30 types of wines before, and now you're up to over
Yes.
1,300.
Yes.
Now are all of your wines mainly Italian? I'm assuming they come from elsewhere as well. I would assume as well.
No, and actually, we have a wonderful selection of wine from Lebanon that I cannot wait to let you try.
Wow.
Wine from Turkey, from Mexico, and it's actually a great Italian journey because me and you we spoke, as many of us, many times of the migratory, the cuisine. What
Yes.
is in the cuisine of Argentina? You remember the conversation? All these people from Piedmonte, but we are everywhere. In Japan, there's a part of cuisine called itameshi that it's all Italian by a guy from Piemonte, and there's a full culture of Italian food and wines. So the story is infinitive. So I would say that we follow a sort of fil rouge, or we follow the grapes to see how they evolve.
Yes, yes. I'd like to pick your brain for a second when it comes to wine. How do you convince somebody, from your professional point of view, how do you convince someone when it comes to pairing wine with a dish that pairing is important? Or is it not important in your point of view? What's your perspective on that?
Che bella domanda. What a beautiful question. Go back to the value for money, what we said. We decide at Lucio there are two ways. Either you choose the bottle you love from $79 to thousands of dollars, or we'll give you a pairing, but no a glass. We don't have the wine by the glass.
Oh, only by the bottle.
Only by the bottle, all the pairing. So the point is this: if I ask you such a courtesy to let me drive your dinner also on the pairing, I need to give you value, which means if you decide to have the three courses, which we call the icons, what we feel they really represent us, I cannot give you a pairing that is, I don't know, Sangiovese or Ribolla Gialla or Vermentino, unless I think it's necessary for you to try and be part of uh, the moment you're spending at Lucciola. It means that, Robert, the pairing we give, I might decide to give you an Amarone 2008 or to give you a Bonarda or a glass of champagne because it's my desire to bring you a value, and it's not based on the ounce and the cost, but the necessity to the menu. Why? And here's the answer for you. Because we felt like in a train station, I can impress many times in different ways with food, at least I hope, with great ingredients. But it's the difference between taking a local train when you add the wine or an express train. So when you drive your experience to a train that does many stops, me and you, we could get off and ask where should we eat, what we should drink, what we should do. That's the reason why we drive this experience. So variety, and the client is sitting, believing the pairing, because the pairing comes also in the tailor experience we said. If the client says to us, I really have a sort of love for white refined wines, which one day maybe we'll do a podcast episode just on the white wines in Italy. Or he says to you, I know I love Grenache when I drink French wine. Then we have the opportunity to say, well, so you like Annonau. What does it mean? A wine from Sicily? It's the same. It's the story that drives and the variety.
Right, right. Definitely the story that drives, absolutely, and the value that's created through that unique experience. Michele, I'd like to talk a second about your academic background. So it's to my knowledge that you have a background in medicine, which is very
Corretto.
interesting. So how has that influenced your approach to food? Medicine and food, people will say, are quite different, but I think there's more similarities than differences. So how has that influenced your approach to food, both in terms of food preparation and nutritional aspect of your dishes?
I think it makes me contemporary, responsible, and granting your meal as mine because I eat in this kitchen every day and we clean the kitchen every day. We take down to parts and we clean with white vinegar. We don't produce Maillard reaction. We don't overeat. We don't overuse water. We don't boil. We don't fry. We make sure that even if we are in the state with one of the best code of the health department, we make sure we separate and label any shelf inside of the fridge, even more to the extent of having a great grade. It means that we don't shock the temperature. It means that all the guys getting in this kitchen, they get a book about what is a protein, the structure, what it becomes an hazard and what becomes a value in being more mature or less mature. It brings in a sort of experience and sense of morality and respect to our clients that he becomes so defensive in what you have at the table to the point that sometimes I get in the floor and I take decision based on what I think it's not nutritious or not balanced, or it might be the reason you're not going to come back here. So, how does it begin? I go to Italy. I'm cooking every night, and I'm paying for my study. I start traveling, cooking. I start seeing the world, and then it's time, to decide what you want to do. So I did pharmacy in Bologna, the oldest university in the world, a city you know very well. And then I go to medicine, and I'm building my study. And the first class I have, it's based on nutrition. So I meet this prof, Turchetto, which opened the lesson saying, as the Campanacciani, which is a last name of a doctor, said, we are what we eat.
Yes.
And I was in medicine. So I said, hey, wait, where I'm here? To a naturalistic, humanistic class or medicine? So at the end of the class, and this is probably part of my nature, I asked to the teacher, it is extra curriculum or this is am I studying medicine, professore? So yes. Oh, but you say we are what we eat. It feels very intellectual. Well, if you don't understand this, how will you understand physiology, histology? Medicine, it's not going there and fix what happens after. It's keeping everything in balance and loving people.
Yes. Preventative. Yes. So
Prevent.
so the two are they go hand in hand. We are what we eat. Medicine and food. I mean, it's like yin and yang. Basically, they have to be together. I like how you mentioned the morality and respect to your clients, and the detail, the attention to detail that you take in your kitchen. Um, so when it comes to food, when it comes to Italian food, it tends to be slower. Okay, you sit there and you enjoy it, which also plays into the well-being of one's mental health, let's just say, because you're sitting with friends and family, you're having a good experience, a nice time. So how do you to me, it's amazing that you brought that to such a fast city. I mean, New York is the fastest city in the world is New York City, but you're bringing this experience in the heart of New York City. So to me, that's incredible. How do you relay this to a very quick paced New Yorker?
It's stronger than me, Robert. I need to elevate. So I'll give you an answer that is going to elevate your wonderful question. But I think the reason you want to be here is to unveil how I think, right? So
Yes.
I'll take the leap of faith of you and who's listening us to elevate the conversation. Many years ago, there was a writer called Italo Calvino,
Yes.
which I'm sure you're very familiar, that he was not born in Italy. He was born in Havana.
Ah,
And
that's right. That's right. I was saying,
that's right.
was trying to figure out where I totally forgot about. Yes, you are
Yes.
correct.
And his major award and development of his career, guess where happened? In United States. And he was ready to give his largest and most popular and important fundamental class in Harvard. And he decided to write lessons to be widely available for the world, to be used to perceive the future. What an incredible approach. And this person comes here, starts studying, and see that one key element, it's the speed, which makes difference with everything else he saw before. And the other element that it makes the huge difference, it's the grade of attention and the care and the details. But when he talks about the lesson of speed, he doesn't call it speed because for him, speed was dangerous and it was considered something without a lot of care. And he used the word rapidità. How can we translate in English rapidità?
Quickness, speed, rapidity. I guess. I hope I didn't make up a word.
Yes,
Quickness.
a quickness, which is completely different to go fast, but to keep it in a pattern of evolution that it happens quickly enough to be of quality. So, to your answer, I think New York had the necessary speed enough to be my rapidità a Lucciola.
A curated speed, and it's interesting how you bring literature up again, because you mentioned that not too long ago, your love of literature and how it translates into what you do. So that's another example. Could you tell us more or less what it's like to be to work as a brand ambassador with Consorzio del Parmigiano Reggiano, as I mentioned before, and also with Pastificio Felicetti? For our listeners, could you explain what exactly do brand ambassadors do?
So for who's listening that is born or raised or of Italian heritage, it's been called from the national team of soccer, being the brand ambassador of Parmigiano. When I got the
Yeah.
phone call, I felt I was called to play the Italian championship in a role, in a key role. So a huge honor, a huge responsibility that it goes hand by hand with a lot of study, which I know you are very, very part of this because you are a great example again. And
Thank you.
of course, and it's it's a role that it makes you understanding how important and how many people are involved to do a process of quality and preserving and protecting without forgetting to evolve. So for me, is and was a great honor and a reason more to go back and study and restudy what I know, especially with Parmigiano Reggiano. For Pastificio Felicetti, which makes me flatter and proud of what we do every single day more, so does Parmigiano Reggiano, but we are talking about of something that is 1,000 year old, well preserved by a consortium, protected for the last 90 years, while we are talking to the other side of a pasta that comes from the Trentino Alto Adige from a family that it goes hand by hand by evolution and I would say proximity and technicality as a family business that is very successful does, which means research, respect, zero waste, and a lot of study and work. Because communicating with a spaghetti, everything I'm saying, or with a pasta, it takes magic.
And didn't Sophia Loren say that everything you see, I owe it to pasta? So we,
I
we could
agree.
we could quote her as well. Um,
Definitely, she was eating Felicetti because she looks beautiful. So
exactly, it has to be, you know. You mentioned when you were talking about Parmigiano Reggiano, you mentioned tradition, history, but then you also mentioned moving forward as well. So how do you put the two together? Something that is a 1,000-year-old tradition with looking forward and moving towards innovation. How do you put those two together without compromising, the traditional side of things?
So from the last 3 4 months, when I was calling my daughter in Bologna, she is there. She does her school there, and when she was trying to explain things she was eating, she was having in Bologna, when she was here, she had some issue in translating things like some weird dish with weird name. So I gave her an advice. I said, I think you should listen, watch my friend Robert Campana and share it with your friends over there, because they watch movies and they read, and you know it is, and you know how important it is because you are growing in both worlds equally. So I gave Maitri, that's the name of my daughter, and her friends, a lens to bridge together two essential words, which is the love for something that is Italian and the love for contemporary, but still not losing the essence and the truth. Okay, so let's go back to Parmigiano Reggiano. Now, Maitri has this beautiful tool of a person that exists in you, doing great content based on honesty and love and clarity. The same is if you think about Parmigiano Reggiano, we have the greatest ingredient of 1,000 years that is so old and so modern that it can fit in many styles as long as we understand the nature of this ingredient, the word they are is natural environment, and what is driving, and here we go back to what you do, what is driving is quality, profile, umami, and his inner skills as an incredible ingredient that can sweet and suit any form of cuisine as long as we go with the right pattern. So the answer is I do it with a lot of care and attention and respect, not losing any chance to say, I think the greatest cheesecake is if we use Parmigiano Reggiano, not because everybody should use Parmigiano Reggiano, because it's highly soluble, there's no lactose, there's a lot of tyrosine inside, there's a lot of nutrition. It really helps the structure, the flavor, the umami, and the pairing. So I do it with meritocracy, as the United States did with me.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the word umami when you were describing Parmigiano Reggiano. Just for our listeners, how do you explain umami? What that is specifically?
So first of all, clapping hand to Robert because I think it's time to stop saying umami and say what it is, right? What
Yes.
it is. What it
Exactly.
is.
Very
Like
few
when
very few people know what it is. Maybe they've heard it, but they don't know how to define it.
exactly. So what it is? Hello, technical answer is there's a region in your tongue called region number 5 that is very very connected to your brain as all the other parts, but has a strong sensibility when it finds a contrast between acidity, sweet, and sour. So, if we talk about literature again, it's when we write a word that is the opposition, but at the same time is the word. And an example would be boiling ice, ghiaccio bollente. So it's communicating a sensation that is both in both ways. So how can you define in food? That's exactly the umami. It's the moment that you don't know if it's sweet, savory, acid, but you know that it's producing more saliva in your mouth. Think about it, what I just said. When you get a wine, and we talk about, I want a bold, rich wine, not too dry. What does it mean? Nothing. Most of us, we don't know. Well, it means this. If you need more salivation while you're eating, such as meat or other type of meal, you are producing an acidity in your mouth that neurologically craves for more food and makes a more complete reaction. So that's the moment your palate has to decide, I'm in the present of sweet, sour, or both. When it's both at the same time, plus acidity is called umami. An example, we buy a plum, we give the first bite, it's sweet, but it's like a tannin, it's like of acidity, kind of salty. Wow, I love it. That's umami.
Yeah. Okay. And that was actually a very good explanation. I think that makes things much more clear. And would you agree that staying on the topic of Parmigiano Reggiano, would you agree with that is umami is what makes it such a versatile ingredient to use in dishes? Is because it offers do umami, or what in your professional opinion makes Parmigiano Reggiano so versatile? Because I was reading the Parmigiano Reggiano US page, and you confess that you are in love with it. So I would just like your point of view.
So first of all, a question ever asked me, Chef, do you eat Parmigiano Reggiano Reggiano every day? Reggiano Reggiano? Yes, it's actually Parmigiano Reggiano, two words,
Yes.
which communicates a name. So I eat it every day and I love it. I always been it. And to me, it's the beginning of every meal and the end of every meal, because now I know it's the umami. But the reason was um, the aromatic profile, the consistency, the granity, the structure, the taste, and the aftertaste, to me is very, very familiar, comforting, and there's a balance between the flavor and the sapidity and the sweetness that is never, to me, a moment I can define this should be the beginning of the end of the meal. So I think, yes, the umami is the reason. The other reason is for sure the aromatic profile and how pleasant is in your mouth, the structure. I think it has it all, honestly.
Most people, when they think of Parmigiano Reggiano, they think of grating it on pasta, which is a fantastic use, of course. But we both know that there are many other uses of Parmigiano Reggiano. So, my question is, in your professional experience, what are some things that Parmigiano Reggiano could be used on or used for that most people don't initially think?
Well, I've been spending time in Asia, and I always say it. And I know we had the conversation in one of the dishes I did it when I gave you this scaglia, this piece of Parmigiano Reggiano with the caviar and the lemon on top. So for me, that is example a news that nobody should lose the chance to, which is balancing sweetness, acidity, and that part of fish flavor and tangerine. So shaving on the pasta, it's awesome. I do it all the time, and I think it's a great common use. But you're right. Are we using all the potential? Yes, absolutely. But how fun would be if we start using the ingredient, not the Parmigiano Reggiano, the ingredient the Parmigiano Reggiano is. So I think you should never miss. First of all, would be washing your rind, checking the beauty, see the stamps, and of course, visually being happy that you are choosing what is it a Parmigiano Reggiano. But then you should eat, because if we watch a wheel of Parmigiano Reggiano, it's like a tree. The center of the wheel and the most external part, they don't have the same flavor, and they don't have the same use, and they mutate in a different way. So I would say that we should never miss the opportunity to use all the range of flavors and aroma, that it goes from the broth aroma we feel to sometimes sweetness and delicacy as a mango or nutty. So don't feel the opportunity is a chance to try a great cheese. It's more than a great cheese. It's a great ingredient. I'm using a word confusing. I want to. It's an Uber ingredient. It's an ingredient that it totally is that through its capacity and inner quality and structure, it has a potential that is infinitive according to your palate. So the word is not experience. The word is make sure you follow all the roads of Parmigiano Reggiano, all the drives.
And understand everything that it has to offer. In fact, I remember a few years ago I tried Parmigiano Reggiano, or I should say gelato made with Parmigiano
Correct.
Reggiano. Well, I believe that was you that made that, or maybe it was somebody else. I can't.
We did, yes, yes, yes. And you know, you're talking about an application that is cold, right? And we said it before pasta and shaving. So if you have the flavor that travels very well below zero and widely above zero, up to 150, 180, 190, 212 Fahrenheit, and well to negative 10 Fahrenheit, it means there's a potential of flavor that is beyond umami. It means that the flavor of this ingredient, it's available at any palate, at any time, at any temperature, because of the nature this cheese is made and because of the nature of the nutrition it contains. So I call it limitless. I want to sound enthusiastic, not too enthusiastic because I don't like to force any use, and I like a substitution when makes sense. So my point is, don't miss any opportunity to try something you love, such as miso and Parmigiano Reggiano and a grated green apple, for example. So all these things should always be available to your palate.
Yes, yes, totally agree with you. Totally agree. I want to be respectful of your time. I know you're very busy. I just have, if you don't mind, just a few questions left. Would you be able to explain what the Biogra Film Food Academy is? I know you're involved with that. And what is your role as, or how is your role as executive chef in this academy?
So Biografilm is the widest, largest, and most respected film festival started based on all great biography in the world. The community is huge. It's in Bologna. It's growing every time. It has a great relevance all around the world. And how could we welcome in Bologna without having the greatest food experience ever? So the founder, Andrea Romeo, many years ago, more than 10, asked me to take this responsibility in my hometown. And we started with the simplicity of just welcoming with some drop of balsamico and fruit, to the point that then we had a huge food court and then classes. And then we decided that the meal part was part of the welcoming in tradition, history, and heritage, which is a biography. So I think the role is about telling my stories through food, making sure that what you are watching, it's meaningful and it stays in the same plate.
Very interesting. Telling your stories through food, and how could people access this academy or the productions of the academy?
It's by invitation only, and it's actually good news for everybody here is traveling. Lately we've been traveling to all the movie film festivals in the United States. The last time you saw us, we were in Sundance with the same enthusiastic approach, and we've been doing invitation. We've been focusing on many things, from the pairing to the interest and the opportunity of preparing a quick meal wherever you are. And so you'll see us traveling. Come to Bologna. It's actually in June. It's finished a couple of days ago, and it's something that is beautiful. If anybody wants to visit, can reach us at this point, to me, and we'll organize them a proper moment of meeting great stories in films and great historic dishes.
Awesome, awesome. So based on this conversation, we've talked about a lot of things. We've talked about your experiences, your collaborations with prestigious brands. We talked about the Biogra Film Food Academy. So, what excites you most about these collaborations, and are there any upcoming projects, particularly in your future, that you're passionate about?
Well, I think the opportunity of expression, the teamwork, the different way of the thinking, and the opportunity of being wrong, and the opportunity of being equally absorbing and telling what I think. So I think when you are so lucky and you have the responsibility and the opportunity, it gives you a wider form of expression. And any decision we take in this environment with this brand, it's something you're gonna see staying. And when I watch back, I'm always proud, and I feel it's my story, which is telling, learning, sharing, and improving. It's part of my DNA. The most excited things that is coming. Can you keep a secret?
I'll try. I'll ask everybody who's listening to keep a secret as well.
Well, there's an event that happens in New York, very, very famous, close to the end of the year, that is seen many, many times. They looks like, and this I'm gonna say really, really low, they choose me as a chef. But I'll tell you more when it's official. We're gonna make history this year, so
Wow. We will
I'll
definitely
keep
keep
you more.
we will definitely keep people informed. Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. So given all of your expert experience in the food sector, what advice would you give to young chefs that are aspiring to make their mark in the food world, especially in very competitive markets such as New York City, for example?
Which at the point is only one market in the world. Everything has to be competitive because there's Robert Campana over there watching what ingredients you guys pick. And that's important because the lesson is we're watching and we are here. You have the resource now to learn. So, speaking to the new generation or the old generation or any generation, the contemporary generation, there's a lot of tools available and they are all widely open all day. So, I think expose yourself to quality, study, don't say this tastes great. Something that tastes great doesn't mean nothing. And there's no food that is necessary. There's always a reason to do our job. But until, and this is the most important thing, you will not feel that it's time to quit because it's too hard, then your career will never start. So feel how would you be if you decide not to do this career, because it's not a job, it's a career. How would you feel? That you are losing a great opportunity or relief? Well, then my advice is, if you feel you are losing a great opportunity, you are afraid and you are concerned, study and push hard, you are doing the right career.
Wow, what great advice from Michele. Michele, thank you so much for that and for the conversation that we had today. I think we had a fantastic conversation, and I think a lot of people are going to I think they learned a lot based on what you said. So I really thank you for your time today.
Thank you. And I hope in the future we can talk also numbers of hospitality, value for money, because as a great story, as many of your story goes, it has to make sense on any point of view, business wise too, right? So I hope within the future we'll have time to talk about this. It's not only a fairy tale, right?
Exactly. And I'd love to have you back on the show in the future as well.
Grazie. Thank you so much. And I run in the kitchen. Buon lavoro.
Grazie. Ciao, grazie. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the stories of authentic Italian cuisine. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast for more insights and interviews. Also, feel free to reach out with your thoughts or questions on our social media channels at Stop Italian Sounding or on our website, stopitasounding.com. Grazie a tutti e alla prossima.
Sentire Media.
Hey, podcast producers and show hosts. Do you want to join a podcast network that celebrates all things Italian? At Sentire Media, we understand the allure of Italy and its unique culture. Our devoted team of hosts and producers are all driven by their shared passion for Italy. And we work tirelessly to create the best lifestyle podcasts and content that will whisk you away to the very heart of Italy. With us, you can savor the mouth-watering flavors, get lost in the stories from the past, break down the cultural barriers, and truly immerse yourself in the vibrant traditions of this intoxicating country. If you have a great podcast idea or are already in production and would like to join Sentire Media, head over to sentiremedia.com, that's SENTIRE media.com, and find out how to submit your show.